Welcome. We are the City of Five Nations podcast, and on this Easter morning, no better place to be than a sunrise service at the YMCA. And of course, with everything going on throughout the world, the YMCA, Troy and Dolly Smith YMCA, unable to hold Easter sunrise services, which are the tradition on Easter mornings. But we have something very special for you. As I welcome my guests, today we have Sue Winterringer, April Stobbe, Karrie Davis, and of course, CEO of our YMCA, Brandon Bell. Ladies and Brandon, hello.
Hello.
Good morning. Happy Easter.
The reason this is so special for all of us in our community, these three ladies represent the only female that I know presidents of our Troy and Dolly Smith family YMCA in the entire 120-year or so illustrious career of the organization. Ladies, let me say, all right.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So I want to ask you all each for a favorite Easter memory. And Sue, we're going to start with you. What's a favorite Easter memory for you?
Danny, it has to be, I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I got to go to the White House and roll my Easter eggs down the White House lawn.
Oh, wow.
That is going to be, I'm sorry.
I just said, can you top that?
No.
That's what I was going to say, Sue. Wow, I should have maybe saved you for last. They're all going to be running uphill for that one. April, what about you? How about a favorite Easter memory?
I don't think I have just one favorite, but very traditionally throughout my whole entire life, and then once I had children, we have a very routine of, waking up on Easter morning, and it usually involved Easter baskets, and then of course the new clothes for Easter, and going to church together, and usually a big lunch following. And my earliest memories when I was really little, a lot of times we went to my grandparents' home and church. And so I really, I guess kind of the routine of a lot of that accumulated together is my favorite.
I love that. I remember going to our grandparents too, and it seemed like it was special occasions for us, but it really made it special because I didn't know my grandparents very well. Karrie Davis, welcome. And what about a favorite Easter memory for our current sitting president of our board of directors?
Much like April, mine was very much the same. All over the years, it was always church, the new white patent shoes, the lovely, itchy dress that my mother could get me in no other time except for Easter, and oftentimes the hat. And we would come, the mystery to this day, and I'm 55 years old, and my parents will never ever fess how this happened, but we would come home from church and all the eggs would be hidden, and we don't know how. We'd leave them in the house in our baskets, and I'd come home and they'd all be hidden. And that just always amazed me. And then the other memory is, in order to keep our teenage children engaged, and there was wrestling matches in the yard. We filled the eggs with real money, some as high as like $20 bills, some ones 20s, and even one had $100 bill. So you talk about with the cousins, there were 5 teenage, pretty rough and tumble kids that were duking it out in the front yard for Easter. So we kept them engaged well into college years. So
I love that. Karrie, you will not believe it, but I am so happy that your surprises on Easter morning get to continue, because we are going to reveal to you how it all happened on those Sunday mornings as a child. Hey, Sue, you have a friend with you, don't you? Sue?
Mr. Easter Bunny?
Could it be?
There it is.
There it is. He did.
He left me a basket last night.
Oh.
How about that? Now, Sue, also, didn't Easter Bunny also have a special something for Karrie on his head? On his head?
Yes, he wore my Easter bonnet.
Oh, I love it.
Karrie,
That
from
was the rascally rabbit who snuck in our house while we were at church and hid the eggs.
right here on community building for 30 days. I love it. Sue, the first president of our board of directors, revealing in the 55th year of our current president of our board of directors how it all happens.
I'm just flabbergasted. I'm so thrilled to know after all these years.
Okay, now Brandon, I know you don't. I mean, your Easter bonnet would look a lot different than that. I believe that it might, and it might have a blue note on it, right?
Maybe, yes.
There you go. How about your favorite Easter memory, my friend?
Yeah, I think there's two things that really stick out for me, and they're probably one being the first time that I was introduced to my wife's family, which was an Easter visit up to Omaha, Nebraska, and they traditionally get together every Easter and do Easter fajitas is what they call it. So very fond memory of meeting that family. And then moving here to Shawnee, being part of the first sunrise service at the Y that I was able to is one of the best things that I've ever been a part of in my YMCA career.
I love that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to each one of you just individually, just for a moment. So let me send a few of you backstage. And I'm going to ask Sue Winterringer. Sue, in the early days of the YMCA, you were our first president of the board of directors. Talk about those days in the dynamic of the YMCA. What drove you to love the YMCA so much?
Well, probably because I was teaching swimming there, Danny. Can I say one thing? I couldn't hear Brandon.
Okay.
At all.
So let me tell you something. What Brandon said was, number one, he met his wife's family in their Easter fajita tradition, and he loved that. And number two, the very first sunrise service he was able to attend at our Troy and Dolly Smith family YMCA. Those are his two favorite Easter memories.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. How about you? And you became board president right around 1979. Would that be right?
Dates don't mean much to me, but Bob Howard was our CEO. And I shouldn't say this, but he sort of was not he didn't really like women, I don't think. But for some reason, he liked me. So we got along. And so I enjoyed being president. I think I was also teaching swimming at the same time at the YMCA.
Well, Sue, I was privileged to be able to help introduce you in your Hall of Fame induction into our Shawnee Educational Foundation. And that's one thing that I think was pointed out about you was you don't mix words. You'll just say what you're thinking. You're good with that. So tell me, say that again.
I hear April laughing.
Yeah, that's right. So tell me, what's the biggest difference between Washington, D.C., growing up in Washington, D.C., and enjoying an Easter there, as compared to you and your children here in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and enjoying an Easter here?
I think it is much better here because it's kind of like what April and Karrie said. We did all the traditional things here, the family dinner, the Easter egg hunt, the dyeing of the eggs, things that we're not doing this year. But that will come back in 2021. So we miss doing all those things. But I think growing up in Washington, it just wasn't the same. It just wasn't the same as living in a small town where you just did that, you did the same things every year, went to church, the new clothes they talked about. Yes, I wouldn't trade this for anything.
Well, Sue, we are so thankful for your leadership and for you breaking those barriers back in the late 70s and allowing are paving the way for more great female leadership. And I'm going to go ahead and ask April to come from backstage. I'm going to send you backstage, Sue. And April, then I'm going to guess it was in the 90s or maybe the early 2000s, you were able to come on not only to the board, but through your leadership, you were able to become president, the second president of the YMCA board in its 100-year history. What was it about the YMCA, April, that made you want to dedicate that portion of your life to the leadership of the organization?
The Y has been a very important part of my whole entire life. I have no memory of life without the Y since we moved to Shawnee when I was 2 years old. Some of our very closest friends and neighbors, he was actually the CEO of the Shawnee Y. So I have been in the Shawnee Y my whole life. So that's just just a natural fit.
I understand. So when you came into leadership, there were some great things happening, but also you, I bet, even at that time, were leading the high school kids with Tri-High-Y and the different things. You've always been an innovator with the kids. Talk about why that's so important to you in the sense of working with kids within the YMCA.
Well, it was an important part of my life. Personally, as I came through school, I was part of the leadership organization like Tri-High-Y. And so, you know, as my children became involved, it was there again, it was just a natural fit to be able to give back to those who had done it for me when I was that age.
So April, tell us, you came to Shawnee when you were 2 years old. Had your parents grown up here, or was it a new place for them?
They had grown up in Lawton, Oklahoma, so they not terribly far. And completely unrelated, my mother's grandmother lived here in Shawnee.
Okay.
She had passed away by then, but so my mom grew up as a child coming to Shawnee probably for Easter to see her grandmother. And so I was born on an Air Force base in Biloxi, Mississippi at the end of the Vietnam War. And so that's when the reason they had left Oklahoma and then returned when I was 2 and came to live in Shawnee. So.
Well, I agree, April, that the YMCA was such an integral part of my growing up years, especially here in Shawnee. And the work that you're doing with Tri-High-Y, can you give us, you don't tell me, I mean, you don't have to go into Tri-High-Y, like figure all this out, but I would like a picture for people who might not understand the opportunity of Tri-High-Y, who can become involved and what is its mission?
So Tri-High-Y traditionally has been an organization for girls. The Y in the past has had an organization called High-Y that was for the boys. But it's open to any Shawnee High School student. It tends to all be girls, but we do not exclude. If some guys want to join us, they are welcome. And so we meet mostly during the school year. It's that, as I said, the membership's open to any Shawnee High School student. There's not like an application process or anything like that. They just come and show interest and join us. We do some community service projects and of helping with different things in the community when we can. And then the big fundraiser for the organization is the annual snowman dance. That's usually in January or early February. And the money that's raised from that, then the organization makes decisions on who to give that away to in the community. And we name a Mr. Snowman. And this is a tradition that, as far as I know, has gone on for over 60 years. It looks a little different now than it did 60 years ago. But the snowman banquet or ball or dance or what it's been called during the years has been a continuous event in Shawnee for a long time. And so
I
anyway,
yeah, I love it that now the boys can be a part of Tri-High-Y and it doesn't have to be separated. And that's part of your innovative leadership, I know, to bring that about. And if I was a boy in high school, I would definitely be joining Tri-High-Y now, knowing that I could be one of the first boys in there.
Absolutely. The way that boys tend to be the most involved right now is a lot of times they are definitely recruited to come help decorate before the snowman dance event. And then the girls also nominate Mr. Snowman candidates. That is another
Notoriety.
and yeah, the recognition that we do that night of that event. And all those guys get to name their favorite local charity, and then it's voted on. And the ones that win, then that's who we give the proceeds from the dance. We make those donations to those local charities. So
Well, and I love it. And I'm talking with one of the first female presidents of the Shawnee family YMCA. And maybe we can get one of the first male presidents of the Tri-High-Y listening today. April, thank you. I want to bring up Karrie now. Karrie, of course, is our sitting president of the board of directors for the YMCA. And Karrie, you're the epitome of what I would look at as Moses, in the sense of the most humble leader seeking God and then coming back into our presence. You know, like when we meet, you come with us, and then it always seems like you are just wanting to react in love, but stay on the path that God has given you. Where does that come from, Karrie? And how do you manage to stay so humble? What is it in your background that has made Karrie Davis like she is?
Well, there's a couple of things. It's just what the Great Commission, we have to go forth and make disciples, period. There's nothing else there. That's period. Go forth and make disciples. And if we're not doing that, we're not doing our job. And then a little, not fear, because we have a loving God. We have an absolutely loving God. So I don't fear him at all, but I don't ever want to be counted among the fig tree that Jesus cast down because I wasn't bearing fruit. That is just, I don't ever want to be that. That's something that drives me, is if I'm not bearing fruit, what am I doing? So that's what drives me.
Well, and you mentioned fear of God as they talk about in the Bible, and you say you're not afraid of God, which I love, because there's a misunderstanding there. And I think you're the epitome of fearing God in the truest sense of the way it should be, which, Karrie, you're very quick to be in awe of our God. And in awe is much different than being afraid that something bad is going to happen. Talk about that and how God creates that awe within you.
One of the things that when this whole COVID-19 began, one of the things I sent a group text to my entire family, and I was thinking of Passover, and everyone in my family, whether they wanted to or not, they did it to humor me, has a red ribbon or something hanging over their door. And I told them, I said, I'm not doing this in fear of COVID-19. I'm doing this in reverence of the Lord, that he is faithful. He has given us provision. And if we are faithful to his word, you know, it doesn't mean bad things aren't going to happen, but he's going to carry you through it. But just as just a symbolic thing, I kind of get into symbolic things. We all have red ribbons over our doors, just kind of so maybe the COVID will pass over us. And I made sure they understood it's pure reverence of God's faithfulness to us. Nothing more, not fear. It's not fear. It's pure reverence, because I don't know. I don't know how anyone cannot be in awe of God. Absolutely. It's beyond my realm of comprehension. I don't know how.
Karrie, I could not have asked anyone to answer that question better. It is such a resemblance and an image of you in your heart. And it's perfect for this, what I would say, Easter morning, the awe of God explained just like you explained it. And you knock it out of the park, girl. You knock it out of the park. Thank you very much.
Thank you for letting me express that.
Now, I'm going to send you backstage with that. And I'm going to bring out the CEO of the Troy and Dolly Smith Family YMCA. And that, of course, is Bradon Bell. You're watching the series 30 Days of Community Building on the We Are City of Five Nations podcast. And Bradon, you came to the City of Five Nations 4, maybe 5 short years ago. And you mentioned that one of your favorite Easter memories is the first sunrise service on Easter that you were able to attend there on the campus of our family YMCA. What have you learned about our community over the last 5 years that kind of brings the sunrise and the beauty of a sunrise from your heart in your vision about the City of Five Nations?
It's, I've had the pleasure of working for the YMCA for 16 years now in 3 different states, and Christianity is an integral part of what the YMCA is. We have been in this community for 117 years, and to see the Christianity at work in the community of Shawnee is amazing. The things that we can do at our local Y that otherwise may not be able to do. We have a wonderful group of volunteers that leads a weekly Bible study. Today, on Easter Sunday, we should have been at the YMCA doing our traditional sunrise service. Obviously, the fact that we can't be there doing that doesn't change what today is about. It doesn't change what's in our heart, what we're feeling. So to be able to have that as part of what we do, have Bible scriptures hanging on the wall of our fitness center. No matter what you're doing in life, Christianity can be a strong part of that. And to bring it back to your question about how does it fit into the City of Five Nations, this is one of the strongest Christianity-based communities that I have ever had the pleasure to be a part of. And to be able to weave that with the YMCA values and missions of what we get to do for what the community is looking for is a great partnership between the YMCA with our local volunteer leaders and this great community that we get to serve.
Well, I love how that dovetails so nicely with what Karrie said in the awe of God, Bradon. And what that creates is an environment for leadership to be able to flourish. And your attributes as a leader have certainly flourished here in Shawnee, being innovative with so many new things and so many out-of-the-box ways of getting things done better for our community. Talk a little bit about the YMCA and just a couple of the new things that have occurred since you've been here as its leader.
Well, there's a number of new things. You know, the great thing about the Young Men's Christian Association, the YMCA, is you don't get to be an organization that has been around for over 175 years, over 117 years locally without evolving and changing. And it's not just evolving and changing for no reason. It's evolving and changing to meet community needs. So that's one of the things that we think on our behalf that we've been able to do at the YMCA is change and adapt to meet what the community is looking for. It could be, small things like having the ability to make our building accessible 24 hours a day for individuals who are working shift work who might not be able to come during a traditional setting. It might be providing emergency childcare as at least kids will be out of school from now until August, and there has to be a place for those kids to go as people still have to go to work if you're an essential employee. So whatever those needs are, I think that's the best thing about the Y is that we can adjust and adapt, whether it be a week notice or a month notice, to meet either a big community need or if it's something in the short term that we can fill a gap. That's one of the things that we're really good at the Y.
Well, and the YMCA has become even better at that, Brandon, with you being at the helm. I know that when you were brought on board, you and your lovely wife, Marion, talked about finding a community that you could become a part of. You could become an integral grassroots change makers for the positive and getting on board with the people who are in the community and really being a special part. And in 4-5 very short years, you both have excelled at that and have been a great example for many of us in the community of just sharing the Christian love, as you describe it, through your powerful leadership abilities. Thank you so much for what you've already brought to our community, and I look forward to spending the next 20 years alongside of you guys as community members of the City of Five Nations. And as I bring everybody back to talk a little bit more about our family YMCA, you are watching We Are City of Five Nations podcast, our series, 30 Days of Community Building. And I cannot tell you how happy I am to be able to spend this sunrise time with these 4 individuals, really the epitome of the love of Jesus, right here in our community, and with so many different personalities in the way in which they show it. So I am now going to bring a question to you guys, because my favorite Easter memory, I'm going to say I was 4 years old. We had just come back from church. We were in our front yard and we were doing the Easter egg hunt. My dad was standing there and he, was directing what was going on. And he was always kind of a leprechaun of what was going on. And, he might even have had a drink in his hand while we were doing it, prior to Easter lunch. And I didn't know what was in his hand. And it turned out that it was a rolled up newspaper. And inside that newspaper, when I took it from my daddy's hand, was the golden egg. I found the golden egg wrapped up inside his newspaper, and I was the big winner on the day. My bringing that forward with you today, all 4 of you, what I would like to know from you, and Brandon, because of the way the screen's oriented now, I'm going to go to you first. And Karrie, as our board president, you're going to be the last one to be able to share about this. But what is the golden egg that you feel about our family YMCA right here in Shawnee? What is the golden egg that you would share with our audience on this Easter morning? Brandon?
Yes. One of the best things about our local Y being right here in Shawnee, being a community Y run by volunteer leaders like these 3 great ladies who've been the 3 female board chairs we've had, is the golden egg for me is seeing the parent who was a child in our program, who now has a kid theirself, who is bringing that child into the YMCA. We've had 3-4 generations who have all been part of our Y through the local community over the last 117 years, coming into the facility together, sharing memories together. Everybody has something to do and memories to share with their loved ones. That's one of the best things. You don't get that in every community. Some of the larger communities don't get to see that, as people might disperse a little bit easily. But here, having the multiple generations all sharing memories of the YMCA and the things that they loved about it is absolutely amazing.
Oh, that's a wonderful point made, and all of us can attest to that through the generations. Hey, Sue, what about you? What's our golden egg at the Troy and Dolly Smith family YMCA?
I think Brandon and Karrie have kind of hit the golden egg on the head. I think it is the Christian atmosphere and seeing the people and the children that come to the YMCA and have such a wonderful experience. That has to be the golden egg.
Oh, I love that, Sue, because so often we hear, when we talk about fitness facilities or workout places that, the kids get in the way. And whenever I hear that about that, I am so happy that kids can be around the adults and see life as it really is, and responsibility and discipline and all of those things that the environment of the YMCA has to offer the entire generations of our community. That's a wonderful point. April, how about you? What's our golden egg?
I think my favorite thing about the YMCA locally and with all Ys is that absolutely every single person can be involved at the Y. There's no financial restraints or any restraints at all that keep someone from being involved. And it brings together a whole group of such a variety of people. You can be in a class and the person on one side of you may be an extremely financially wealthy person, and the person on the other side of you be on full financial assistance, and you don't know the difference. It's not anything once you're there that those things separate anyone, and those things can change for people over time. There could be somebody that over time needs financial assistance, and then a few years later they're back on their feet better and they become a contributor to helping somebody else be a part of it. And it's just and like I said, there's no labels. There's it brings everyone together in one place to build a community.
That is so true. And that's what community building, April, is all about. You said it so eloquently, is that all of us, no matter of our situation, really, if we can find places and spaces where we can get to know each other a little bit better without those, imaginary and made up boundaries that we tend to hinder ourselves with, what an opportunity that is to be able to share those Christian principles, the way of life that Jesus tells us to share, which is love everybody. Just love everybody. Karrie, now, all of that being said, you wrap it up for us. What is our golden egg?
I agree with everyone. I have 2 golden eggs, and I'll just say one and leave it at that. Brandon Bell. That's one of our golden eggs right there. He's a game changer, absolute game changer. The other is that of everything that goes on in the world, we continue to keep Christian in our name. And as long as we continue to fix our eyes on God and in our decision making, and we will be blessed, and we have to pray for that wisdom, and we will continue to have the blessings of God as long as we continue to leave Christian in our name, continue to practice Christian in our actions, and fix our eyes on God as we go through this situation, every situation, regardless of what it is. Fix our eyes on the Lord, and He will bless us. And He blessed us with Brandon Bell too.
Well, let me tell you, this is a great example of why the City of Five Nations is an example of human prosperity, is the outlooks that each of you have just shown about the local YMCA, which many people don't realize, though it's a 175-year organization on the world level. Here in Shawnee, it has run for 117 years plus, independently of anyone outside of our community, fully supported by the people within our community. Even though it's a worldwide organization, it's people like this leadership team at today's sunrise service that can make us all proud of our family YMCA and the storied history that all of us as a community contribute to make great. It was wonderful to be able to spend this time with you guys. Thank you so much for getting up early on Easter and putting makeup on for some of you and getting it going. And Sue, thank you for the Easter bonnet. That just made it. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much, and happy Easter to you
Happy
and yours.
Easter.
I love you all.
Yeah, love you too. Bye-bye.
And I want to tell you, the YMCA, the point April made, is so the heart of so many in the community. It is for all. I've had the story told to me of a generation of kids growing up, and they said, well, the YMCA, I'm welcome there. That was like the house on the hill, or the lighthouse up on the hill that I couldn't go to. And I want to let you know that This is the heart, what you just experienced this morning, of the leadership of your family YMCA. And when I say your, I say that intentionally to say you are welcome at the foremost fitness facility within our community that is so much more than a fitness community. The YMCA not only welcomes you, it is for you. It is for all. And we thank you today for tuning in and being with us on We Are City of Five Nations podcast, our series, 30 Days of Community Building. And we hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful Easter with your family. And in the City of Five Nations, please remember, together, we are building community one season at a time. Happy Easter, everybody.